is that clamor of birds? Said Ulysses. Just birds. Why do they shriek so? So over here in the margin you might say maybe they're shrieking because they're actually her former husbands. They could be her former husbands. And why are they shrieking? What's your prediction? Why do you think they're shrieking? Are they trying to warn him? Are they trying to become humans again? Moving on to the top of page 107. They are angry at me for loving you. They were men once like yourself, just as we predicted. How did they get to be birds? Oh, well, it's no very difficult transformation when you know how. I thought they would be happier so. I thought they would be happier as birds. They don't sound very happy. They have jealous natures. So this is saying they're jealous of Ulysses, who they see as Calypso's next husband. You could write that here. You are not unlike Circe in some ways, said Ulysses. You island goddesses are apt to be abrupt with your former friends. I've noticed this. So Ulysses is making a connection between the way Circe was and the way Calypso is. It's a depressing topic here. Let's talk about me. Very funny there. So let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about me. Do you find me beautiful today? This is Calypso talking. Interesting thing to say to somebody. More beautiful than yesterday, if that is possible. And no doubt will find you even lovelier tomorrow, since you have shown me the penalty of any inattention. So Ulysses is flattering her, and also maybe being a little bit sarcastic here, because he notices that if he doesn't say she's lovely, he could be turned into a bird or a fish. Do not fear, said Calypso. You are not like the others. You are bolder and have more imagination. You are a hero. Perhaps you could persuade your feathered friends to nest elsewhere. They make me nervous. Nothing easier. I shall simply tell them to depart. If they do not, I shall change them all to grasshoppers, all save one, who will eat the rest and then die of overeating. Over here, I think it shows how cruel Calypso is. So they'll all just disappear because that's what her new husband or new potential husband wants. Truly you are wise and powerful, and fair beyond all women, mortal and immortal. Again, he's trying to flatter her and stay on her good side, so he doesn't become a fish or a gull or a grasshopper. She smiled. You have such an apt way of putting things, she said. So Ulysses made himself at home on the island and passed the time hunting game, fishing the sea, and reveling with the beautiful Calypso. Reveling means, and you can put this in the margin, means having fun. He was happy. Thoughts of home grew dim, meaning he was forgetting home, right? He was forgetting home. He was forgetting Ithaca, Penelope, Telemachus. The nymph, meaning Calypso, taught him how to poke the magic log upon her hearth so that it would cast up fire pictures. And he sat by the hour on the great hearth, reading the flickering tapestry of days gone by and days to come, so he can look at the future. But she had instructed the log never to show him scenes of Ithaca, for she wished him not to be reminded of his home in any way, lest he be tempted to depart. But Ulysses was as crafty as she was, so clever, sneaky. You could write that over in the margin. Crafty means clever and sneaky. And after he had poked the log many times, asked it to show him what was happening on his island. And the log had cast up pictures of other times, other places. He realized that Calypso had laid a magic veto. Veto means a vote against. So he had laid a magic veto or vote against Scenes of home. Remember, she had told the log not to show him anything about home? And this, instead of making him forget, made him more eager than ever to know what was happening to Telemachus and Penelope. So a connection here might be, if your parents or a teacher tells you can't do something or not to do something, I think sometimes that makes you want to have it or do it more. And the same thing is happening here. She's forbid the log from showing him anything. But that's now what Ulysses wants more than anything. He wants to see and hear about Ithaca, about Telemachus and Penelope. So moving on. One day he went into the wood, into the forest, snared a sea crow, and asked, "Can you speak?" "Yes," said the crow. "Were you once a man?" Once, at the time of your grandfather, Sisyphus. I was a clever man, a spy. That's why Calypso changed me into a crow when she grew weary of me. For of all creatures, we are the best for spying and prying and tattling. Like, tattling means telling on someone. Like you might do to your brother or sister, you might tell on them. You might tattle on them, but that is your marginal note. Prying means digging into. "Then you're the bird for me," cried Ulysses. "Listen, I wish you to fly to Ithaca. Go to my castle and see what is happening. Then come back and tell me." "Why should I? What will you give me?" "Your life." "My life? I already have that." "But not for long, because if you refuse to do as I ask, I shall wring your neck." So Ulysses is strong, wants to get back to Ithaca. So he's going to kill the crow, so the crow will do what he wants, so he can get back to Ithaca. Said the crow, "there is merit in your argument. Very well, I shall be your spy. Only don't let Calypso know. She'll," meaning she will, there should be a hyphen in here. This is a contraction of she and will. "She'll catch me and feed me to the cat before I can report to you. I have a notion she'd like you to forget Ithaca." "Fly away, little bird," said Ulysses, "and do what you have to do. I'll take care of things here." The next day at dusk, as he was returning from the hunt, he heard the crow calling from the depth of an oak tree. So the crow must be down inside the oak tree, I don't know. "Greetings," said Ulysses. "Have you done what I asked?" Of course he did. He was going to wring his neck if he didn't do it, meaning he was going to strangle him. "I have flown to Ithaca," said the crow. "A rough journey by sea, but not really so far as the crow flies." So if you were in a boat, it'd be tough. But a crow flies straight, is what it's saying. So not as bad a trip for the crow. "I flew to your castle and perched in an embrasure in a part of the castle, and watched. Briefly, your son is grieving. Your wife is weaving, and your guests are not leaving." "What does my wife weave?" "Your shroud." So a shroud is what you wrap around a body of a dead person. So over here you would write that in the margin, what is wrapped around the body of a dead person. So what does this symbolize? This means that either she's hoping to get his body back at some time, but basically she's believing he's dead. "Has she decided so soon that I am dead? I have been gone scarcely 20 years. I don't know about you, but 20 years is a long time, so to me it sort of makes sense that she thinks he's dead. But to Ulysses, that's not. She is faithful, but the suitors, who are brawling, ill-mannered young men, are pressing her to choose one of them for a husband. However, she refuses to choose until she finishes the shroud. And it has been 3 years a weaving." Why would it take 3 years to weave a shroud, which is basically a blanket to wrap around a dead person? Why do you think it's been 3 years? Let's find out. For each night she rips up the work she has done by day. So the shroud is never finished. I would write over here, that's very clever of Penelope. So she weaves it by day, then unweaves it at night, so that she isn't making any progress on it, but it always looks like she's working on it. But the suitors grow impatient. They are demanding that she finish her weaving and choose a groom. Your son opposes them. He's against them. And they threaten to kill him unless he steps down. Thank you, Crow, said Ulysses. What will you do now? Try to escape? Escape? I do not consider myself a captive, good bird. I shall simply inform Calypso that I intend to leave and ask her to furnish transportation. You make it sound so easy, said the crow. Good luck. And he flew away. Ulysses went to Calypso in her grotto, fell on his knees before her, and said, Fair and gracious friend, you have made me happier than any man has a right to be, especially an unlucky one. Who's the unlucky one? Ulysses considered himself an unlucky person. But now, and you could write that over here, Ulysses, underline unlucky one. But now I must ask you one last great favor. Calypso frowned. Maybe that means she knows what he's going to say. I don't like the sound of that, she said. What do you mean, last? Why should I not go on doing you favors? I must go home. This is Ulysses saying this. This is your home. No, my home is Ithaca. Penelope is my wife. Telemachus is my son. I have enemies. They live in my castle and steal my goods. They wish to kill my son and take my wife. I am a king. I cannot tolerate insults. I must go home. Suppose you do go home. What then? I will contend with my enemies. Contend means I will deal with. I will take care of my enemies. I will face my enemies. Write that in the margin. Deal with, face. I will kill them or they will kill me. You kill them, say, then what? Then I live, I rule, I don't know. I cannot read the future. I can. Look. She poked the magic log. Fire pictures flared. Ulysses saw himself sitting on his throne. He was an old man. Penelope was there. She was an old woman. You will grow old, old, Calypso's voice murmured in his ear, unraveling in its rough, purring way like raw silk. Old, 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 old. You will live on memories. You will eat your heart out, recalling old glories, old battles, old loves. Look into the fire. Ulysses asked, Is that me? That's you, humping along in your old age among your hills, grown dry and cruel. What is that on my shoulder? An oar. Why do I carry an oar where there is no sea? If you go back to Ithaca, you will meet great trouble. You will be driven from your throne and be forced to carry an oar on your shoulder until you come to a place where no man salts his meat, meaning where no man lives, and where they think the oar is a winnowing fan. Then, if you abase yourself to Poseidon, if you ask for forgiveness to Poseidon, he may forget his hatred for a while and grant you a few more years. So she's saying Poseidon will continue to persecute him. Is that me standing at the shore? That is you. Who is that young man? Your son, not Telemachus, another son, a fiercer one. Why does his spear look so strange? It is tipped with the beak of a stingray. Why does he raise it against me? To kill you, of course, and so death will come to you from the sea at the hands of your own son. For you angered the god of the sea by wounding his son, and he does not